Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in all of Ohio sports. I've been watching baseball a very long time, and it's been a very important part of my life for all these years. I'm sure there have been a lot of bad teams over those years, but since MLB has gone to 6 divisions, I don't remember as many bad teams in a single year than we are seeing right now after less than 2 months into the season. Every division has at least 1 or 2 horrible teams, including the Baltimore Orioles, who just left town, licking their wounds as the Indians took 3 of 4 against them. Looking around the leagues, in addition to the Orioles, there's Kansas City, Chicago, and Detroit in the AL Central. There are 4 teams under 500 in the AL West. Over in the National League, you've got the Mets, the Nationals, and Marlins in the East, and the Colorado Rockies and San Francisco Giants in the West. The Indians' detractors who say their division is bad can say that about just about any team that gets into the postseason. All I know is the teams that will qualify will get a call when the season ends telling them when and where they play, and they don't care who they beat to get there. We've got Jim Ingraham here tonight. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Monday night, it's a brand new week. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into our 23rd, soon to be 24 years, and exclusively seen here on cleveland.com, exclusively with us tonight, Jim Ingraham. And you watch the Indians win 3 of 4 over the hapless, I don't know what hapless, is there full?
Well, hap would mean a good team then, right?
Right.
If you're hapless.
Yeah. That is a horrible team.
Yeah, they're very bad. And there's a lot of really bad teams, but unlike like in basketball, some of these teams aren't even tanking, they're just poorly run.
Right.
Like the Orioles have been bad for 10, 15 years?
Well, I can't think of any reason why a baseball team would try to tank, but what does that give you?
Yeah, especially in that sport where just because you have the top 4 pick, that doesn't mean he's going to be George Brett. It could be Paul Shuey or somebody that's less impactful, shall we say.
Yeah. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Jim Ingraham is with us, and lots to talk about. Mike Macedo will join us a little bit later. So will Chris-Fedor, covering the Cleveland Cavaliers. Do you think there's any nepotism in the Bickerstaff signing as an associate head coach? His father working in the organization?
Well, maybe, but I mean, he's got a pretty big reputation.
Qualified.
He's been around forever, yeah. And if you wanted
head coach of a couple of teams.
Yeah, I'd say his credentials are pretty legit.
Right. 216-575-0403 is the number. A couple of things to talk about. We'll talk about the Indians to start things off. The bullpen. How good do you think the bullpen has been when we expected them not to be so good?
Yeah, I think most of us expected them to be as bad as the outfield. And the outfield has lived down to its billing, but the bullpen's been really good. I mean, it's like second best, by ERA and number 1 in some other categories for bullpens.
Well, here you have it. The ERA is 2.85, second in the American League, 14 homers allowed. That's second fewest in the AL, 42 walks, fewest in the American League, and a 3.2 strikeout to walk ratio, second in the AL, and the whip is third in the AL at 1.18. Do you have any idea what the whip means?
Walks and hits per inning pitch.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You studied for this.
Is there a prize involved in that?
Yeah, there is a prize. You know what? The prize might be Oscar-Mercado.
Yeah, it's fun.
Although, why did he sit out a couple of games?
I don't know. I mean, it's not like, Joe DiMaggio's ahead of him in the outfield here. I thought they called him up to play him pretty much every day.
Right.
And that hasn't been the case, and I'm not really sure why. But, he's the one guy that, you can at least dream on a little bit because he's got some pretty good credentials in the minors, and he's got, he can run fast, he steals bases.
He runs really fast, and you see 3 hits in 9 at-bats, a couple of doubles on RBI, 5 runs scored. That's Oscar-Mercado in the first 4 games. And I'll tell you what, I told you before the show, when he got his first hit, a double into left center. He went from home to second about as fast as I've seen anybody.
Yeah, and then he went from second to home pretty fast too.
Absolutely. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Jordan-Luplow, where's he come from all of a sudden? And he can hit home runs against teams other than the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, the Orioles. His home runs are against the Orioles.
Home runs are home runs.
Hey, in this lineup, we're not going to be picky about where he hits the home runs against. But,
right.
I think he's more comfortable now, and he just seems to be fitting in. And there had to be. They traded a pretty good prospect to the Pirates for Luplow and the other guy who's at AAA now.
From Pittsburgh. All right, 16 hits and 62 at bats. That's a .258 average, 5 homers, 8 RBIs, and 12 runs scored. And when you're hot, right? Now, how long are they going to go with Cargo? First of all, I hope they keep Carlos Gonzalez all year because I love the name Cargo.
Cargo, yeah. You know what? He's played really good defensively. He hasn't hit much, but you watch him in the outfield. I mean, he never looks awkward or
as solid as can be.
He really is good. You'd like to see a little bit more bat from him, but I'm willing to give him a little bit of a break there because he wasn't even playing with a team when the season, or almost till the season started, and so he's a little behind everybody hitting-wise, I think.
Is he considered a good guy in the clubhouse?
Yeah, he's a real good guy. Yeah, he's got a very good reputation off the field.
Because I think as guys near the end of their career, they can become much better clubhouse guys.
Yeah, that's right. You learn the intangibles that they matter when you're not hitting 300 or hitting 30 home runs. Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, he looks, and they certainly need an outfielder. So it would be nice if he could just hit a little bit better. But I think he's played all 3 positions, and he's looked good in all 3 of them defensively.
So we have a Facebook question of the day, and that is, considering the roster that you have here in Cleveland, what is your ideal outfield? It can't be DiMaggio, Williams, and Willie Mays. It's got to be guys currently on the roster. What would you say?
I'd be inclined,
forget the righty-lefty theory.
Yeah, I would go with Gonzalez, Luplow, and Mercado.
With you've got a lot of guys left in the lurch here.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they played themselves into lurchdom, I would say.
Lurchdom. They haven't been hurt defensively too much. There hasn't been anything.
No, the defense is in the top third, I think, in the league. So that's been pretty good. The starting pitching's been probably better than it should be, given that they've not had Kluber and Clevenger for a good bit. The bullpen's been terrific. But having said all that, it shows you how awful their offense is, because that's almost the single reason why they're not in first place is they can't score runs.
So, well, you had a pretty good pitching performance yesterday, I would say.
Yeah. Everyone probably focuses on the 15 strikeouts, but the no walks.
15 strikeouts, no walks.
A complete game with no walks is like almost unheard of these days.
It's terrific, no question about that. So, what do you do? I mean, you got Clevenger coming quick. You got to send those guys back, I assume, if Clevenger comes back.
They've probably got a month yet till they have to make the decision on Clevenger.
Right.
He's coming along really well, but he's still gonna have to go to the minors and pitch some rehab starts.
Right.
So I would imagine, I think he's eligible to come off, I think, June 7th. So it's going to be after June 7th, and I would say probably a week or 2 after that. So these things kind of play.
He's the one guy that you're getting him earlier. Maybe they did it on purpose. They said, well, he's going to be out forever, or a couple of months, and it'll be 60 days till he picks up the ball. Next thing you know, he's picking up the ball and throwing the ball.
Yeah, and if you remember, I mean, he only started 2 games, but he gave up 2 hits and no runs.
Right.
And was averaging like 16 strikeouts per 9 innings, I think it was.
All right, so the Indians take 3 of 4, but they're still 4.5 games behind Minnesota. Too early to do scoreboard watching or not?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even turn the scoreboard on at this time of year. It doesn't matter what it is. But, I mean, the Twins are playing really well. They got 5-game lead on the Indians, and the Indians have not played well at all, and have, like everyone knows, they're not scoring any runs. So you have to think if they could just get their offense to the mediocre level, they'd probably start winning more games.
Mike Massetta of Nature Zone standing by. We'll find out what Mike is thinking. Also, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. And as you saw a few moments ago, you can have your picture posted on when you respond. And that's at facebook.com. We'll come back in a moment. Jim Ingraham is with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Jim, let's check out birthdays. Hal Newhouser is the answer to that question of guys' most valuable players 2 years in a row. Hal Newhouser, the pitcher, that was the Warriors, and he wound up finishing his career with the Cleveland Indians in the '48 season. Ken Boyer, born on this date. Leroy Kelly, seen on the left. Bobby Mercer, jostling for position, 1947. Terrell Brandon.
I didn't realize she was that old.
That's one of my favorites. People say, you had that one before. I said, yeah, it's their birthday. We had them a year ago.
There's no reason you can't celebrate it more than once.
Of course, 216-575-0403. We're going to find out what Mike is thinking. So, Mike, what are you thinking? Mike Masetta from Nature's Stone. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Les. How you doing tonight?
Good. Jim Ingraham with us. Long time no talk.
Yes. How you doing, Jim?
Hi, Mike. Good.
All right, Mike, start rattling stuff off. What are you mad about tonight?
Well, what am I mad about? I'm mad that the Cavs didn't get the #1 pick because I really wanted Zion here.
Right.
That's one that I could rant on.
But you know what? Somebody asked me.
Go ahead.
Somebody asked me today if the thing was fixed. I said, if you're going to fix it, you don't fix it for the New Orleans Pelicans.
No, I don't think that they would be fixing it for the Pelicans. That would be more towards the Lakers or the Knicks, but it didn't happen for them. Couldn't have worked out any. It would not have been good if the Lakers would have gotten the #1 pick. That's all I can say, because I don't want to do anything to help out LeBron over there. But
no, but I'll tell you this. I have no trouble with the way it worked out, that the Cavs didn't get it and they sunk down to the 5th spot, and I don't have any idea how the math works. But there's something wrong when your franchise player, LeBron James, goes to Los Angeles and they get a pick ahead of the Cavaliers. That rankles me a little bit.
Yes, they got the 4th pick, and that was another thing that's got me upset this week is that, how is that possible? And here's what I don't understand about the way that the draft works. And it's so the bottom 3 teams had each a 14% chance of getting the #1 pick. But shouldn't they have the 100% of the percentage to get the #1 pick, and then all the other teams kind of fall in line? Wouldn't that make more sense?
What do you
than
think?
Having like the number 16 jump up the #1 pick?
Yeah. In other words, and then on top of that, when those guys lose out on it, you almost reshuffle the deck. But what do you think?
The issue is tanking, and they're trying to figure out where to draw the line, where the suspected tankers are and aren't. I think maybe you should just widen the pool. Maybe instead of the bottom 3, say, make it the bottom 4 or 5, and then the other teams shouldn't even be at the lottery. I mean, this should just be for the first the first 5 picks maybe are ping pong balls decided, and then everyone else, it's just you go by the record. This doesn't. I never. In fact, I even had a hard time when they first did this with they say the lottery, and the lottery goes all the way up to the 15th team, I think. Which,
anybody who doesn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the after the first 5, the next 10 should just go by record. In my opinion.
Yeah, because you're not tanking to when you're in the 17th position.
Yeah, and then you don't risk happening what the Lakers jumping ahead of the Cavs.
Right.
Teams that really need.
When the Cavs got the 5th pick, I said, "Oh my God, it's going to be the Lakers or the Knicks." And and I thought Patrick Ewing, when he walked in the room, said, "Hi guys, we didn't fix it last time, but we did this time." Yeah.
What I don't understand about whether it's basketball, baseball, football, whatever it is, I don't understand the idea of tanking, and maybe that's because when I played, it just never crossed my mind or anything like that. When people say keeping teams from tanking, does that literally mean that the players are going out and trying to lose games?
Yeah, they're trying to lose games and be bad so that they can pick somebody who will take their position.
Right, that's exactly what I'm saying. So you've got these G League players that are playing, and they're giving their everything that they have to try to earn a roster spot, and they're going to go out there and intentionally lose a game,
right?
And then so they can get a higher pick, so they can be back in the G League again next year. I don't understand that. I don't believe that. Right,
and then they lose the game, or they win games. They lose games, and then they fire the coach because he, the coach thinks that he's trying. He's a member of the organization, but he winds up getting fired because he didn't win enough. Allegedly, didn't win enough games.
Is it possible that maybe just these teams are that bad, and that's why they're losing because they're just not very good? So they lose games. It's not intentional. It's just the other teams are better than them, so they end up losing.
It did happen once. I think when Bill Fitch coached in Houston, I think they sort of admitted they were tanking.
The year they got the Ralph Sampson.
Yeah, right.
When you talk about tanking, you're not talking about the players. You're talking about it's the coaching in the front office.
Right.
That's where the tanking
setting up the team to lose.
Yeah, I mean the players are playing as hard as they can and as good as they can because they've got careers, individual careers they have to worry about.
And they're on tape for everything they did.
Yeah. So I mean, this has nothing to do with the players. It's all the people that pick the team and coach the team.
Yeah. All right, let's switch over to football. Anything happen other than Baker-Mayfield shaving his beard?
Well, Odell showed up, so that's a good thing, right? Because he's at the first mini camp, so that's what we wanted to see. I think there was a lot of talk out there whether or not he would. I think that was ridiculous. I think he was coming no matter what. So he's there. Duke Johnson concerns me a little bit. Don't quite understand what his issue is. I guess I get that they picked up Kareem-Hunt, but Kareem-Hunt's not even going to be ready for the 10th game of the season. So they're going to need him, and if he plays well, he's still going to get the ball once Hunt comes back or comes and plays. And it's no different than what the dynamic was last year with Nick Chubb and himself splitting carries and him getting into the passing game. So I would like to see Duke there. I think that he's a tremendous back. He gives them a lot of versatility, and not having him is not that it's going to hurt the team, but it doesn't make them any better by not having him there. And so, the team is better when he's there.
He already made his feelings known about wanting to get traded, so that's not the issue. This is the exclamation point. I want to get traded, and I really, really, really mean it.
Yeah, and he's not an Antonio Brown, so he's not going to garner the same type of media attention and so forth that Brown got. Although great, very good all-around type football player, and I think Freddie-Kitchens is being honest when he says, "Hey, I'd like him here. He's a good player, and we've got packages for him. He's part of this roster." So hopefully that'll work out, whether it's through a trade or he miraculously decides to come back and play, because he does add something to the roster. But other than that, I just can't wait to see them get out there with all that offensive firepower and see what they can do and put up some points.
Yeah, Mike, I forgot one thing. Mike Masetta from Nature Stone is here. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Wow, it's Nature Stone. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. All right, we're going to take a look when we get back. We're going to take a look at the Browns because there's some people who think they might be amongst the most complete teams in football. I think they've addressed the offense and defense. Mike, I don't see a lot of weaknesses. Do you?
Safety. They still haven't completely addressed the safety position. And you know, in today's NFL, you need a lot of corners as well, just defensive backs in general.
Right.
And I think they're a little light there. So, you know, maybe they parlay Duke Johnson into something to help the secondary. But that's the only position that I could see them getting hurt at and not having a plus against their opponent is at that safety spot.
All right, we found out what Mike is thinking. Mike, we'll find out next week what you're thinking. Mike from Nature Stone. Mike, we appreciate you joining us as always.
Hey, you got it, guys. Good talking to you. Thanks a lot.
You got it. 216-575-0403 is the number. We're going to find out who thinks the Browns are pretty good as the most complete team in football. When we get back, Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. You can catch the excitement of live harness racing Monday through Wednesday and Saturday evenings, plus a special racing car this weekend, the holiday weekend, coming up on Sunday, May 26th. Post time for that is 6 p.m. Players Club members can enter the free handicapping contest every Sunday for a chance to win the top prize, $500 in cash. It's free parking, free admission every day at Northfield Park. Jim Ingraham and I return in a moment. Thanks to Mike Massetta from Nature Stone. We are brought to you exclusively on cleveland.com.
When my dad started Nature Stone right here in Northeast Ohio, he created a solution for age-old concrete problems: unevenness, cracking, pitting, and more. Nature Stone solves all of these problems in garages, basements, and outdoor spaces. Nature Stone is beautiful, environmentally friendly, and always affordable. Plus, Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of May and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Jim, it's time for a How Come Quickie. I'm sure you've heard this before. How come the foul pole is not called a fair pole? Any idea?
No, it's incorrectly labeled.
It is.
Maybe we should start a crusade.
Yeah, truth in advertising.
Yeah.
216-575-0403. The NFL's NFL.com has ranked the most complete teams. I assume that means the combination. They leave special teams out, but it's the combination of offense, defense. Let's look and see where they put the Cleveland Browns. Well, you got the two Los Angeles teams out on top. Chargers #1 in the AFC. And, of course, in the NFC, it's the Los Angeles Rams, who went to the Super Bowl last year. Cleveland Browns #3. Where have we seen the Cleveland Browns #3 in any ranking? Guys arrested, maybe?
Well, that to me is as interesting as the fact that the defending world champions are only the 9th most complete team.
And the Monsters of the Midway, the Chicago Bears #8. You're right, some pretty good teams there, but it's hard to argue. I know there's a lot of hype this year on the Cleveland Browns. A lot of people nationally now turning against the Browns because some of their brethren are giving them too much credit.
Yeah, that's the way it works, you know. And the Browns are a good test for this thing. You know, when everyone starts jumping on the bandwagon, there's always people that need to jump off because there's too many people on it.
Right.
And you know, we'll find out who's right once the season starts. But
some of these guys take the other side because if it all goes wrong, and there's an upset in there, they say, "See, I told you so."
Contrarians, I think is the word we're looking for. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, everyone wants to. If everyone's saying the sun rises in the east, and you say it's in the west, you're going to get more publicity than those.
Kyrie Irving, I believe, is the man who first said that. The NFL's most complete teams, do you agree with this ranking? Are they a very complete team? Mike Masetta said earlier, other than adding some people, maybe linebackers and maybe some DBs, looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, amazingly, as fast as they've been able to do it, there doesn't, for most of the last, 18, 20 years, there have been clear weaknesses on their roster.
Right.
And like the previous 2 years, like it was the whole roster.
Well,
basically.
not only that, when the draft came along, you needed guys to fill in for holes, not for guys to come in and be stars.
Yeah. Now they're drafting and signing guys for depth because the front line guys look pretty good. You're right.
I'm sure that the New England Patriots over the years had no idea the date of the upcoming draft. Fans of the team.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the front office knew because they had to be there, make reservations.
Yeah, and yet they still continue year after year after year being one of the best, if not the best team in the league. So that you're talking about like one of the best franchises in the history of sports.
Yeah.
I mean,
normally you would say the New York Yankees, right?
Yeah, the Yankees, Montreal Canadiens in their heyday.
St. Louis Cardinals are underratedly
back
good.
in the
Celtics.
60s. But it's really hard to do what the Patriots are doing, and how come the Browns can never find a coach like they have?
Well, they did, just a little early.
Yeah. They were just a little. They were either ahead of the curve or behind the curve on that.
Nobody's saying anything about getting an owner like the one they have.
No. How about the run of owners the Browns have had since the beginning of?
Well, you want to starting with Paul Brown, or?
Well, he technically wasn't the owner, was
he? But he had a financial stake in it.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so you go with Art Modell in the beginning, and then you get
Mickey McBride.
Mickey McBride was the taxi cab guy.
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't an owner.
Yeah, he was an owner.
He was before Modell?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he must have been pretty good, too, because they won all those things in the 50s.
Then they had, in the late 50s, I'm not sure, if they had a show like this, the callers or emailers might not be able to identify who the owners were. It was like the Indians in the 50s. You had like 30 guys.
Yeah.
And then you had another, and then in the
80s. They had a bunch of guys.
Yeah, in the when they signed, who am I thinking of? Signing Frank Robinson.
Ted Bonda.
Yeah, Ted Bonda and Armin Arnson and those guys. They had about 30 guys too.
Well,
right?
for a while, they were owned by the O'Neill estate.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The church. Then the church bought it. The Catholic Church got involved in it.
Okay.
There's a funny story. Did you know Armin Arnson?
I know of him.
Okay, Armin and Bonda were going to a meeting at a bank. They'd been turned down for loans from this bank the whole time. So as they're walking out the door to go to the meeting, Armin Arnson tells Bonda, hey, let me have your keys. So he had a big key ring and all kinds of keys, and he knew he was going to get turned down for the loan that they needed to pay Jim Bibby or somebody like that. And the guy says, I'm sorry, we can't make the loan. So Armin took the keys, threw them on the desk, and walked out the door. He said, what are these? He says, well, you own the team now. We can't make a payment. You need to know, you need the keys to the bullpen here.
Okay. So then they changed their mind and gave him the loan.
They did.
Probably, huh?
They did.
The old key trick.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Kareem Hunt was mentioned earlier. He'll miss much of the first half of the season, but they're hoping he'll be in pretty good shape when that comes around. Find out if he's had some growth. We think we have seen some evidence of that. We'll do that when we get back. And when we get back, we'll also check out the voicemail of Truth and Reason. And you can call that number and leave a message anytime, 24 hours a day. It's 216-200-6650. Call anytime and leave a message. Try to keep it short, and we'll use the best messages in a future show. We'll come back in a moment. We'll take a look and talk about Kareem Hunt when we get back. We'll also have Chris-Fedor talking Cavaliers. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Why do you think it was important to go to Kareem's baptism yesterday?
Because we care about Kareem as a person. We went there for Kareem-Hunt as the person and not the football player. I went to other baptisms that you wouldn't, and I'm sure John's the same way, went to other people's baptisms that they don't play football. So the thing we did yesterday was not about football at all. It was about Kareem as the person. And that's where it's going to start with us here. I've said that from the get-go. That's the way I've always approached coaching, even at Mississippi State or North Texas or wherever I've been. It's always been about the person. And I feel like John's the same way. So we were there for Kareem-Hunt, not for Kareem-Hunt, the football player.
I understand that, but how do you think showing that concern will translate into making your football team better?
I don't know that it will. I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that question. I just know that we wanted to make sure he felt supported as a person, and that's what I told him, and John has told him when he first got here, when we were talking to him when he first got here. I care about Kareem-Hunt in 50 years from now. Like, what's going to make him have a better chance of succeeding in his life 50 years from now? And that's not lip service with me, and it's not lip service with John-Dorsey. So from time to time, you got to show that. But in showing that, you're showing it for the person again. You're not showing it to prove a point or anything. I mean, we showed up there to support him as a person.
Did you and John surprise him by showing up?
I believe so.
What was his kind of reaction?
Just like, I don't know, just like wondering what the hell we were doing there. I don't know. I mean, I think he was pretty surprised, yeah.
There you have Freddie-Kitchens. Jim Ingraham is with us. Chris-Fedor will join us. Jim, you've seen a lot of coaches. You have no choice. If you've been in Cleveland, you've seen a lot of coaches. It seems to me that Freddie-Kitchens, there's an image that he has, Alabama and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But it seems to me he's come around pretty quick, learning how to handle himself in front of a microphone, which he probably hasn't, at the NFL level, probably hasn't had that opportunity before.
Right, and that's a very unusual and valuable skill for a man in his position. I mean, he just looks comfortable answering questions, and I think it's because there's no airs about him. He seems to be a genuine guy and just says whatever's on his mind, and I think the players probably pick up on that, and I think the media do too. I mean, we've seen, as you said, a bunch of Browns coaches come through, and not all the Browns coaches look as comfortable as he does in front of a microphone. They generally have some media training in the offseason.
I don't know that Freddie needs it, but it seems he is more comfortable. There's no question about that. However, when losses, I don't want to say start piling up, but when you get a tough loss, that'll be the measure of how well you handle yourself in front of the media.
It will. I mean, it's easy to be comfortable before the games start and you lose in overtime because somebody had a boneheaded penalty or something.
Right.
So, we'll get a better read on all of that once the season starts. But, just watching how he, handles the media and answers questions and everything, he just seems like he's really got a knack for this kind of thing, which is more important now, as we all know, than ever before in all sports. You got to be able to converse with the media and through the media to the fans, and I think, he's off to a good start in that area.
Do you think at the end of the day when he gets in his car, when he leaves Berea, he just locks the door and goes, yes, I'm an NFL coach making $3 million.
I mean, it's a remarkable story when you think about it, and it'll always be a remarkable story, and even more remarkable if they, get to the playoffs or maybe even get it to a Super Bowl. But, I mean, guys don't normally have this kind of a career path.
No, let's take a look at that picture again. Kareem-Hunt was baptized at True Vine Baptist Church. That's in the Glenville area. And you see, have you ever seen two people less comfortable? You just said how comfortable Freddie is in front of the camera. How about more comfortable with, well, it's not suits, but pants and sport jackets?
I don't think GQ's going to call and ask to use that photo for a cover shot.
Odell Beckham won't ask them to come to his next fashion show.
Yeah, no, it was a nice gesture for those guys to do that. I will say, though, that, if Kareem-Hunt was going through that as a member of another team, I doubt that they would be there.
Yeah, not saying we're helping helping him become a man.
He's doing this for Kareem the person, which is right, but the fact that he's a football player for the Browns also matters.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes, but it's a good gesture as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, not just to Kareem, but to the whole team. I mean, all the other players here and see about that.
Well, the big news, I mentioned it earlier, that Baker-Mayfield got a razor blade. He's also getting married, so I think that might have had something to do with it.
Possibly, and I don't know if we won't see the beard again sometime.
Does he look as intimidating as he did last year on the left there?
He looks thinner, younger, and as long as he wakes up feeling dangerous on Sundays, I guess that's all that matters.
And some Monday nights and Sunday nights and Thursday nights.
Yeah, selected weekdays.
Let's see, if they win every game, he feels dangerous. That's 7 or 8 games right there.
I wonder how, when Brandon Whedon woke up, how did he feel, I wonder?
No.
Wary. I think he felt wary.
I think his receiving corps felt dangerous.
Or in jeopardy.
One of the two. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. I think it's going to be fun. You and I, we've seen a lot of games in a lot of press boxes, and some of it is we have to be there, and you get near the end of the season, it's not a lot of fun. Yeah. I think this is going to be as much fun as we've had in a long time. Going back to maybe to the Kosar years.
Not just that, but interesting again. I mean, for so many years recently, the games have just been nothingness. I mean, now they're a really interesting, talented team with a chance to win, and it's been decades since the Browns met all 3 of those requirements.
We get the feeling that there was a couple times over the years that I got an opportunity to be at a Browns backers bar out of town, and these people would come in, and they've been there every week for years and years, and it's like they've got their lunch boxes and they're they're going to punch the time clock and here we got to go into the salt mines again today, and they kept coming week after week. Yeah. Now they've got a different purpose.
Well, those are the people you really feel good for, because they've gone through all that. And if they do get to the playoffs this year, I don't think the league will have seen the kind of civic reaction that will happen in Cleveland because of it, because it's been such a long drought. And not only that, because of the charisma and the excitement and the talent on this team, they're very likable, gregarious kind of guys that the fans, I think, you get behind even more so than...
You're going to see, I mentioned the Sunday nights and Monday nights and all that stuff, but even on Sunday afternoon, you're going to start seeing, Jim Nantz hasn't done a lot of football games here in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. You'll see the first team there, and the networks, I'm not saying they're rooting for teams, but they wouldn't be unhappy if the Browns have a good season.
Well, whether or not they're the best team in the league, they're the sexiest team right now for sure, and that's going to reflect itself in the number of national TV games.
Speaking of sexy, Chris-Fedor is standing by, and he will join us, and we'll talk Cavaliers basketball. You ready for that?
Yes, I am.
Let's do that when we get back. Sokolowski's University, and they've got the big wine tasting event coming up on Sunday, June 2nd. I signed up for it. My wife and I will be there. It's a 3 p.m. reception, and it's celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Wente Family Estates Winery and Sokolowski's University, and getting close to that 100-year mark, starting off back in 1923. For reservations, call 216-771-8967. Let's make history together, featuring Sokolowski's University and the Wente Family Estates. Chris-Fedor joins us in a moment, exclusively on cleveland.com.
Concrete in your garage is uneven, cracked, pitted, and just plain ugly. Transform your garage into a welcoming entryway with Naturestone flooring. Naturestone corrects uneven concrete so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping. Plus, Naturestone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Naturestone installed in your home by the end of May and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history. 1920, May 20th, police raid the bleachers in Wrigley Field and arrest 24 people for gambling, Jim. Next year, gambling on games could be mandatory.
Well, they were ahead of their time then.
They
obviously.
were. Now, let's take a look at this date in Les-Levine history. 1979, with the tying runs on and winning runs on first and second with one man out, Les was told to strike out on purpose rather than hitting into a game-ending double play.
Did you get the clutch strikeout?
I did. What they do now, if I played now, as I walk to the plate, the manager will just put 3 fingers up instead of 4 for a walk.
Yeah.
All right, this is on. Okay, the umpire says, "All right, that's a strikeout." Let's
go back to the dugout now.
Yeah, don't waste our time. Let's go find out what's going on Cavalier-like, and that would be the guy who covers the Cavaliers for cleveland.com, Chris-Fedor. Look at that guy. Jim Ingraham with us. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Les, you brought me back to my days of playing Four Corners baseball, where I used to go up to the plate hoping to get hit by a pitch so I could just get on base.
Lean in there. Just get it. Just take one for the team. No question about it. All right, help me out here. Well, first of all, the Beilein hiring. What are your thoughts?
I think it was a good hiring. I was talking to somebody today about it. It's funny because like a lot of the parameters that they set out, that they said, hey, you want this in a head coach, it really pointed to an up-and-coming assistant, because those are the guys that spend a lot of time behind developing these guys on the court with these guys, our games. But it also really pointed to a college coach, because that's what college coaches do. They take 18, 19-year-olds coming out of high school, they mold them into men, they teach them the right way, find ways to fit them into their system. And college basketball, if a guy is there enough, it's so much about player development. And I think the Cavs are in a position where they're going to build this thing through the draft. They're not going to hope upon hope that they're going to get the first overall pick every single year. They're not going to be a huge free agency destination. So they're going to have to take these first-round picks and turn them into rotational pieces the way that Beilein took guys who weren't McDonald's All-Americans and turned them into first-round guys.
I think the most impressive thing about Beilein is that some of these former players, some with you just throw the term or the word junior after them. You had some NBA players who had their sons play for him. I think that's kind of remarkable when you think about it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think part of the reason for that, Les, is because he's a coach's coach. You know, some coaches have immense success in college basketball in large part because they just out-recruit everybody and they get these 5-star guys. And yeah, it's difficult because you have to figure out how to get those guys to come together and be a team. And you have to let those guys know that they have to sacrifice for the betterment of the team. But the talent is there. So guys just go out and they out-recruit these guys. John-Beilein at West Virginia, at Michigan, at Canisius, when he took over all those programs, they weren't already at the top of the mountain. They weren't blue blood programs in college basketball. He had to out-coach. He had to out-scheme. He had to out-develop all these other guys that he was going up against. And his system is one that I think is going to translate well to the NBA as well, Les, because it's kind of exactly what is going on in the NBA. It's 1 in, 4 out. It's movement. It's pick and roll. It's pace and space. So I think there's certainly going to be a transition from college to the pros, but I think he's a coach's coach. And I think that matters when you talk about some of the other guys that have failed trying to make the leap from college to the pros. They were all recruiters at their core. John-Beilein at his core is a coach and a developer.
Well, the other thing is he's going to need some help in the NBA, the stuff behind the scenes, and he's going to get that from jb-bickerstaff, because here's a guy who's got it at all levels. He's been a head coach in the NBA, been an assistant coach, comes from a coaching family. So that looks like a right choice. But just before you touch on that, the hiring of Beilein to me is interesting, because especially with all the multimedia that's out there, that when they want to keep a secret, they can keep a secret.
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job, everybody involved, of keeping this a secret. So credit to John-Beilein, his agent, credit to the University of Michigan, Kobe Altman, Mike Gansey, everybody that was involved. You know, this was one that I think it was really, really delicate, Les, because when you're talking about going down the college road, there's so many people involved. The kids are involved, the school is involved, boosters are involved. And the last thing that you want is to make it really, really difficult and disrespectful towards the University of Michigan and everybody else involved. And to your first point, Les, I think jb-bickerstaff, first of all, if John-Beilein said no to the job for one reason or another, I truly believe that jb-bickerstaff would have been offered the head coaching position. He had a really impressive interview. The Cavs, from the very beginning, they were very surprised that JB was let go in Memphis. So for him to be available, the Cavs felt that was a unique opportunity from the very beginning. So he was somebody that they liked all along. And I think after John decided that he was going to take the job, both he and the Cavs felt it necessary that the guy that was going to be right next to him on the bench had head coaching experience because of the things that you brought up, Les. It's going to be a transition. John-Beilein is a great coach, but he doesn't know the NBA. Practices are different. The travel is different. Communicating with players is very, very different. And he doesn't know tendencies of his guys or the opponent. He doesn't know what Brad Stevens likes to do in certain situations. Timeouts are different. So it's really a different game, and you need somebody there to kind of help you and make this transition as smooth as possible. And jb-bickerstaff, because of his 3 years of coaching as a head coach in the NBA and the many that he has just being around the game, seeing it on a day-to-day basis, I think that's going to be very, very beneficial.
And what you didn't mention is it's 82 games, which is something that Beilein has not seen. Jim, do you have a question
a lot more
for
travel.
What the Cavs are doing?
Yeah, Chris, when it comes to the draft, do you think, are they just going to get best available player? Are they looking for a certain kind of player because Beilein's now the coach?
I think that's a good question, Jim. I think because of the situation that the Cavs are in, because they're so early into this rebuild, I think obviously fit matters, but they're going to look for talent, and they're going to put their faith in John that he's going to be willing and able to get these guys to fit in any type of situation. So their trust is in him that he's going to get the most out of any of these guys and find a way to make the pieces fit. So when you're picking this early into your rebuild and you've got the 5th overall pick, it's hard for me to say, yeah, they're not going to take a point guard because Colin Sexton is on the roster, or they're not going to take X player because Jetty Osman is considered a core piece of this future. They just need as much talent as possible, and they feel like they have a coach that's going to make it work regardless.
Your mock draft up on the screen. Obviously, Zion Williamson, number 1, he'll go to New Orleans. Then you got Memphis. You go with John Morant from Murray State. Then New York with R.J. Barrett from Duke. The Lakers, Darius Garland, the guard from Vanderbilt. Then you go in the 5th spot with the Cavaliers, and it's Cam Reddish, of forward out of Duke. What is your thought on Reddish?
There are just so many people in the NBA, and I think some within the organization, Les, that feels like Cam went to Duke at a time where he thought he was going to be the ballyhooed recruit, the centerpiece of Duke, and things were going to be a lot different than they turned out to be, because he committed at a time that Zion Williamson wasn't there, R.J. Barrett wasn't there. So a lot of the stuff with Cam, the bad numbers, the inconsistency, disappearing from games and stuff like that. There are people that feel like that was more of a situation than representative of him and his talent. And there are people that now feel like in the NBA game with more space, a better system, maybe him more of a focal point, he's going to be better. And he's that typical 3-and-D type guy that all teams are looking for. He can guard 1 through 4. He can switch onto bigger guys because he's got a longer wingspan. There are just so many people that feel like his game is better suited for the NBA. Now, that's banking on a lot of stuff, right? He's the guy who looks the part. He has looked the part. He's been part of Team USA basketball since he was 14 years old. So he's been in the spotlight, and everybody has always said, oh, Cam Reddish looks the part of a 3-and-D guy. Cam Reddish looks the part of an all-star wing at the NBA level, and he's never played to that level. And I think it's going to be really, really important for the Cavs and other teams less to figure out why that is. Is that just who he is, a guy who disappoints? He looks the part but disappoints? Or is it because circumstances dictated that, and in the NBA, like some people believe, it is going to be a different situation for Cam Reddish? But eventually, don't you have to show it on the court rather than just have people believe in you constantly because of how you look?
Sounds right to me. Chris-Fedor with us. Chris, stick with us just a couple more minutes. Jim Ingraham also with us. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. You can catch the excitement of live harness racing Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday with the post time at 6 p.m. Northfield Park opens early every day for simulcast action from the top thoroughbred and harness tracks all around the world. It's the Players Club members can enter free handicapping contests with a chance on Sunday to win $500 in cash. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. Jim Ingraham, Chris-Fedor return in a moment. We are seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
Want to spend time? Let Nature Stone Flooring transform your basement into a true extension of your home. Nature Stone's proprietary hydrostatic ports allow water to simply evaporate, so no mold or mildew. Plus, Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of May and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Bud Shaw, WKYC.com, will join us. You see us live from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and then, of course, you can archive us on cleveland.com anytime you'd like. Chris-Fedor is joining us, as well as Jim Ingraham. But before we do that, Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times is reporting that the Buccaneers have informed Gerald McCoy that they are going to release him. He would be due about $15 million if he stayed there, but now, if he in fact gets released, he becomes a free agent. Hey, guys, we don't need him. We have enough talent. Chris-Fedor
Is
with
that
us.
how you feel, Lex?
We have enough talent.
Well, I do think, and I know what you're saying, you need talent as many places as possible. But I do think one thing that's going to be really interesting for Freddie-Kitchens to monitor is like all these guys are used to being the man, right? Or all these guys are used to, like Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry are each used to getting 10 to 12 targets per game. They're going to cut into each other's targets. Kareem-Hunt is going to expect to come back from suspension and get 15 to 20 carries. So then what happens to Nick Chubb?
I don't see how you do that.
Right. So I just think that's going to be really, really tough for Freddie-Kitchens to handle, making everybody here, a lot of them who have big personalities and big roles in the past, he's got to keep them all happy, and I think that's going to be easier said than done.
To Chris and to Jim, there's this thing called injuries that come to mind, and I understand that happens in the NFL occasionally.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with having that problem.
Right.
You've got a lot of guys that need the ball.
Exactly. Hey, Chris, just quickly, because we got to wrap things up, it was interesting to see Patrick Ewing come in to apologize for being in on the fix, 20, 30 years ago. But will the NBA do anything about it just because of the perception of everything? I know the math is involved, and it's the math is, you can't touch it. But from a PR standpoint, it's not a good look.
No, it's really not, Les. And I think what happened in the past lottery, the most recent one, is exactly the opposite of what the NBA wanted. And I think it might have been the worst thing for the NBA, because the two teams that openly tanked by resting or sitting their star player, the New Orleans Pelicans and the Los Angeles Lakers, both moved into the top 4. And I don't know when this happened, but somewhere along the line, being bad became synonymous with tanking. There are teams that tank. There are teams that do things that make their chances of winning worse.
Well,
right?
but what they
New
proved,
Orleans Pelicans and Lakers both did that, and they got rewarded.
Yeah. What they proved, though, is it was not a fix. The fix was not in this time, because you're not going to fix it for New Orleans.
No, you're not. And you're not going to fix it for Memphis to get the number 2 overall pick either. So that helps, but I think you're going to have teams that are going to look at it and say, is it better for us to fight for the 8th spot in whatever conference we are, get booted out of the playoffs immediately by the number 1 seed, or is it better to take the approach that the Pelicans and Lakers took and fight for just getting into the lottery and hope that the balls fall our way and we become the Lakers and the Pelicans who move into the top 4? Well, I don't think the NBA wants that.
Just one quick observation. The NBA can't be, it's a two-edged sword. You're having some great games here in the playoffs, phenomenal games, but they're going to end early, so they don't, at least this round will end 4 or 5 games, and they don't get those extra games. But some of these games have been unbelievable.
Oh, they really have. And I think a lot of people were wondering, Les, in these playoffs, okay, what's going to happen? What's the interest level going to be when you don't have a guy like LeBron?
Yep.
When you have Giannis, who is a star but is one from Greek descent, because, he's not as known around the NBA as some of these guys who have been in the playoffs year after year after year after year. And even without LeBron, these playoffs have been able to be really, really compelling, really interesting, and I think well watched in certain areas.
All right, Chris, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it very much.
You got it, guys. Anytime.
Okay, Chris-Fedor from cleveland.com. Anything you'd like to add to the proceedings tonight?
What's the over-under on the Indians scoring runs tonight?
Who's going for Oakland?
I'm not even sure. I don't think it's Catfish Hunter, though.
They're going to get 2 runs tonight.
2 runs,
Whether they win or lose is up for debate. Jim Ingram, you can catch him at jim-ingraham.com. That'll do it for us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night. Bud Shaw will be with us. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.